Welcome to the Do Hard Things podcast. Today we have one of my favorite people. We have Zaira Mosquera on here. She is an absolute savage in the solar industry. She's actually been in sales for many years, but she's dominating the industry. I feel like she's also one of the industry's best kept secrets on the women's side of things. And a little bit about Zaira. She currently is the assistant district manager for the San Diego office for Legacy Power. She has extraordinary personal numbers of herself year to date. So today is November of 2022. Year to date, she's done over 150 accounts, but also her team has done over 1,000 accounts on the year to date as well. So not only is she a great producer herself, but she has a great team as well that does extraordinary results. So Zaira, share a little bit, give us a little intro, who you are, what you're all about from birth to now. No, kidding. But just give it, share with us a little bit about you.
Well, I've been doing sales for about a decade now. I used to do like online marketing, cold calling, commission only. So, but then I have also been in the music industry. So I feel like I've done.
Like you rapped?
No.
Can you rap for us?
No, I know Stetson does. Yeah. No, I used to work in the marketing department. But same thing, like music industry is very cutthroat. So from like the last 20 years, I've just learned to be in industries where I had to have like a more harder exterior.
Yeah.
And then along the way, just learning how to still be feminine and soft so I can connect with people. So whether it's in music or getting into sales, it really helped me along, in sales. And I've got most of my sales background from like my last job. My last boss was just total Wolf of Wall Street type of guy. And I think I learned mostly everything from him.
Wow. I love what you said it, because I find like sales is understanding the feminine and the masculine energy, right? I find that it's good. Like the people that excel in sales are the ones that understand that, that know, okay, cool. Right now I got to tap more into my masculine energy, right? And masculine, feminine is not a gender. It's just how you show up, you know. When people trust you and you show empathy towards somebody, right? That's tapping into your feminine, right? Absolutely. But when you got to be direct with people and overcome objections and all that, that's tapping into your masculine energy. Absolutely. And I find that the greatest salespeople, regardless of whether they're male or females, they know how to really work in both of those and excel in them. Yeah. And I think what makes you great, Zaira, is that you're great, like I said, at doing both. You know when to tap into your masculine energy and when to tap into your feminine, but you don't but you know that you stay true to yourself, because today we're talking about how women can crush the solar game, because this industry, the door-to-door industry, is male dominated. It is. I would say, I think the stats say around 80% of people in this industry are males. It is a male dominant industry, but you are dominating a lot of men right now in the sense of you're doing better results than them. So, what would you say are some of the advantages that you have as a woman that maybe other men don't have?
Well, I think that's a really good question, because I feel like that's how it's been in any sales like job, where women tend to feel like they need to be more masculine in order to get a sale, but really being a female has a lot of its advantages of just clients or whoever you're speaking to has more a perceived perception that women wear their emotions on their sleeve. And so they come off more genuine, like when they speak or they're selling or they're explaining, opposed to sounding salesy, because they just naturally feel like that comfort of women are able to be, wholesome and open and like more transparent. So I feel like that's where women definitely have that advantage.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're just being your authentic self.
Yeah. Right? And I think that's where women sometimes in sales like go wrong, is because like you said, like whether you're a guy or a girl, like you just have to know when to tap into that energy. And most females in sales who don't do well just tap into the masculine energy, and then they come off like super pushy and like super aggressive, but really like learning how to tap into their truth of just who they are, as individuals, like actually would work in their benefit like a lot more. So
and it's crazy you say that, because after seeing hundreds of people try to do this job, I always notice that the first few weeks they're on the doors, they always try to be somebody they're not. It's like you're talking to them, and then the moment they pitch, it's like their whole demeanor changes, their personality changes, their tonality changes, and then you talk to them again, and then I'm like, what happened? Like, just be you, be you. And and listen, the right people will like, cool, the right people will say, hey, tell me more. And then the wrong people, okay, cool, they're not your customers. Right? Because people like people who are like them. And I do believe that we as humans, we possess, I call it the bullshit factor, like to where we can tell when people are bullshitting us.
Oh, yeah.
Like we can, or we can tell like, okay, this person's clearly like reading from a script or whatever, and they're not being their authentic self. I'm good, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But people are craving authentic relationships.
Absolutely.
People are craving like authentic interactions. And, you know, I think that's one thing you've been great at is just when people talk to you, they know like, okay, this, I don't know this person, but they're being authentic. You know, they're not like, I feel like men, our ego can be a great thing for us and sometimes a bad thing for us. And we let our ego believe that we have to be this person that we're not.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I think, yeah, like I said, you know, like being able to feminine, masculine, and kind of tap into that is definitely very, very powerful. So, you know, what have been some, what are some of your challenges that you've had as a woman? Like, would you say people take you seriously sometimes? Have you had customers who, because you're a woman, maybe they didn't take you as serious? Like, what are some of the challenges I guess that you face as a woman in this industry?
Well, that's a great point because there is a lot of homes that like are just right at the door off the bat. If I'm like knocking with another guy and I approach a certain homeowner that like, just looks at me as the woman, ignores everything that I'm saying and just looks at the guy, but I'm the one answering, and then he still looks at and answers to the guy. And I just
noticed, think that you're like the trainee or something.
Yeah, or because I'm like the woman, like I don't know how to answer anything. So like, I get that all the time, but I always overcome and win over those homeowners by just like, I'm the professional. Like I speak professionally, I come off authoritative, I still continue to be playful and graceful at the door. And it just opens people up. But overcoming that, with a lot of homeowners, it's, society's still like that, where they view the woman as like not the one who can be in authority or like in leadership. Or just even coming into the industry, like a lot of my male peers, I'm sure like didn't think that I would be able to surpass a lot of them, So like in sales in general, like that's how I feel like a lot of industries are, because most sales industries are mostly men or male driven.
Right.
So being a woman, it's just had to been like, okay, well, for a woman, I just have to perceive all my coworkers as just, we're all the same. Yeah. If I have the mentality, I'm a girl and I have to overcome all this, and that can hold me back. But if I just think in my head, no, I'm just like looking at these people as all hard working reps that are passionate, competitive, hardworking. I'm like, I just have to overcome that.
And I love that because, when you look at the current state of the world right now, you see this ideology being passed that we are creatures of our circumstances, that, the color of your skin will determine the success you have, or, whether you have a penis or a vagina, that will determine where you say, no, my skin color, my gender, it does not determine my success in sales. It's my mindset, it's my work ethics, and you show that's true because right now people, I hate it. I see kids being taught like, if you're born black, it's like, cool, this is the path you have. You're white, this is the path. No, it doesn't matter. It's about what's in here and what's in here, right? It's about the paradigms, the mindsets you have, and the heart that you have. And you've demonstrated that, call it against all odds in this industry, right? To where maybe some peers didn't take you seriously initially, or homeowners sometimes are like, why would I buy solar, or why would I get solar from a female, whatever? Like, because I'm sure some homeowners think that you're like, you defied all those odds and still have outperformed many, many, many males in the industry. I know right now you're the top female rep in legacy power. And not that I don't think women need a category of their own, right? No. I don't think we should. I'm not trying to label it like that.
We could even just say it like top third rep in legacy.
Yes, you're definitely right. Top,
I think that's how I look at it.
Top 15 for sure, maybe top 10. I don't exactly remember, but you are, and this is like an organization of hundreds, over I think 1,000 actually, people in there, and you're in the top 10, top 15. Mm-hmm. So, but you're definitely a testament to that. Because I think women walk into this and, I get it. We've been taught like the men are the breadwinners, or the men's are the ones that focus on business, right? And, there's a season for everything. But I know for you feel called to the marketplace.
Right.
And you're like, I'm going to dominate it.
Right.
And not be victim to whatever circumstances, and you've done that really well. So how have you, like, what are some of the practices you've done to instill this mindset to where you're just a freaking savage?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just like what I just mentioned, like just starting, every industry I've ever been in has always been like male driven. So when I was being like an A&R rep in like the music industry, it's basically all men, and then getting into sales, like I did a couple sales jobs before solar, exact same thing, like mostly all men. So to me, it's just, I learned in these types of industries to have, how to control my emotions where I'm not wearing everything on my sleeve. So the great thing about men that we know or is perceived as is like men can compartmentalize like their emotions and like their circumstances, like their personal lives from business. So I feel like I've gotten the way I've been able to do the same thing is mentorship, coaches, therapy, and all that kind of stuff, because in every industry that I was in, I couldn't be like what they perceive as women, like emotional, erratic, dramatic. And so it's like, okay, professional, you want someone that's competitive, and I love how something that we say in Legacy is like, earned and not given. I had to earn the respect. I had to earn by getting the results, and so like by getting those results, I had to really work on myself. So I think that was the biggest thing that I've just been doing in the last 20 years is it's not an overnight success. It's just constantly working on my mindset, working on my self-talk, how I speak to myself, how I perceive myself, how I look at myself. And as I continue just look at myself as a strong individual who has every opportunity before them, I don't have to think, oh, I'm going against other guys or I'm going against my male peers. It's like, no, I'm just going against my peers. I'm just going against other like amazing, reps, whether it's solar or sales. And I know I can be just like them, but in my own way. Just like anyone, like I said, whether you're a guy or a girl, all you have to do is really be the best version of yourself, and you can accomplish like any like level. So that's how I look at it.
And you said it, earn not given. I'm huge on the fact that this world owes you nothing. Yeah. You came in naked, you're gonna leave naked. Yeah. Right? You came in alone, you're gonna leave alone. You came in with $0 in your bank account, you're gonna leave with $0, zero things, right? And so because of that, yes, everything in this world is earned. And speaking of results, Zaira recently finished a 3-week competition. We just had Stetson on here earlier, and Zaira also accomplished something remarkable. She did 37 solar accounts in 3 weeks in November, which is huge. I mean, those are, people do 37 sometimes in a quarter, right? She did it in a span of 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks. And it was just tons of grinding, tons of like hard work. And, she was the number 3 rep in that competition. Like, absolutely blowing the water. Like she blew it out of the water. Like there's guys who are in an organization that have been in solar longer than Zaira. Yeah. And she like 4x, 5x the volume that they did. So I mean, what did it take you, Zaira? I mean, that's your peak, I'm sure, for now, as of year today, right? What did it take you to achieve those types of results?
Well, I definitely believe any kind of win it's not like an individual type of thing. So I definitely praise my mentees that I have. I had, I think 5 or 7 different setters that were with me the whole time. And it was just constantly keeping them accountable, but leading from the front, showing that I'm knocking doors with you. I'm not just in there to close all your sales, but at the same time, like I'm out there in the trenches with you. Yeah. I think that helps.
Real quick on that, because I see this a lot in the industry. I've been on many recruiting calls where one of the questions they ask me is, oh, do you have setters for me? And then I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? Yeah. He's like, well, like I can knock or whatever, but I would just like it more if I just got appointments, from setters. And I'm like, okay, well, are you willing to work with them? Are you willing to knock them? Oh, well, maybe or whatever. Yeah. And that's one thing that I can't stand in the industry is the people who just want appointments fed to them, right? Now, Zaira has appointments from setters, but that's because you just said it. Right. You're out in the field with them, right? You're showing them that, hey, I also can do what I'm asking you to do. Right. However, you also understand that your time is best spent in the home, right? Your time is best spent in front of a qualified homeowner instead of on the doors, right? So you understand that, but you still train your people to do that. Yeah. And I find that some of the people that achieve great results in this industry are the people that understand that, are the ones that understand that, hey, you know what? what? Like, if I'm going to ask someone else to knock, I'm going to show that I'm willing to do it too, right? When I have the time for it, instead of, hey, go get me appointments and just call me when you have a lead, and then I'll come out, and you do that extraordinary well.
I think that's one thing that I've just noticed in being in leadership. Every leadership position I've had, or I've had a great leader, I've seen them do the job that they're asking me to do. And so you want to follow someone that has the results. So if I wasn't out there knocking and showing them how to knock and how to get leads and how to set like proper appointments, then it's like, well, then how good is she, or can I really respect her if like all she's doing is just sitting there and like signing a deal, you know? So like, yes, I think that's the thing though, is showing my mentees that, hey, I can do exactly what you do, and I'm going to show you how to do it well. And then they respect me for that. And then going into every close, giving it my all, because it is a lot of work to get a bill and an appointment and make sure that it sits. But again, I think by hitting those 37, it was just an all round, I'm also the type of person that just like, I love being poured into, and I don't just take advantage of that. I have some great leaders, yourself included, and then all the managers that all of Valor pretty much. I look up to all of them, and I'm glad that I can call all of them and ask them like, hey, like, how do you make sure all your appointments sit? How do you make sure that you can handle as many mentees as you do, and like have all the energy to do all this? And I've been the type of person to just be like a sponge and soak in all the information and apply it. And I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of reps, is that because they have a lot of people come into the industry just having these big egos that exactly, they're not willing to humble themselves
yes.
and to listen and to take information and apply it. Like they just want to do everything themselves in their own way.
Yeah. And
no one's really gotten far in life with just doing things your own way. Like, you know, like, championships are won as groups and not in individuals, you know?
Exactly.
So, me, that was a huge accomplishment, 37 sales. But again, I didn't do it alone. I did it with the help of like having great mentees that like, that listen really well, and because I show them like how to have a great work ethic, but then at the same time having great leaders that I've applied all the things that they've taught me. And so I give a lot of props to them, you know, like you and Jack, Stetson, Malik, Clayton, Christian, such great people and men, and like these people were just brothers, always pouring into me. Like I am a bugaboo, and I love that. I think that you need to be someone that wants to learn. You're hungry. You're gonna bug people. You're gonna call them up. And I
think people sometimes don't bug others enough.
You need to.
You need to. Yeah,
I tell my mentees, bug me, call me. You're not bugging. I just need you to call me more often.
You know, there's this great parable. There's a great parable in the Bible. It reminds me of this, where it talks about there was this woman who got like land taken from her. Right, land that belonged rightfully to her, and she went to the judge and said, "Hey, this is not right. This belongs to me. Here's the proof. Here's the deed."
Oh yeah.
And the judge is like, "Nope, sorry, not gonna happen." And then he leaves. She shows up the next day, bugs the judge. Judge still says no.
Yeah.
The next day, judge bugs the judge. Judge says no. This goes on for, I don't know, call it a few weeks.
Yeah.
Where every day she showed up and bugged them and say, "Hey, this is my land. Here's the deed for it. I know it's mine." Eventually, the parable goes that the judge got so sick of it, and he was like going crazy, that he was like, "Okay, have it. I don't care. Boom. Okay, fine. It's yours now. Boom. Here it goes." And then she got what she wanted. And the message in that parable was that, hey, sometimes in life, you just got to go after it. And even if you bug someone over and over, but if you feel so strongly about wanting the knowledge or wanting to know how this person did that, like there's nothing wrong with, like, I tell people sometimes, like, hey, I don't mind if you bug me. If you really want to know something, like hit me up 2, 3, 4 times on it. And eventually I'm going to see it enough to where I'm like, okay, shoot, I need to respond to this person, or I got to meet with this person or whatever. And I love that, because you need to.
Right.
You need to have this attitude of, no, I'm not going to stop until I get it.
Yeah. I call that the persistence against the resistance. You know, like people who are persistent will win in life.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, that's anything, right? Like if the more that you want to get better at something, the more you're going to chase it. So if it's like chasing all your leaders and mentors or whoever you have, like, give me all this information, you got to be willing to do that, but then actually like applying it, you know?
Right.
So I think that's how I've gotten really far, is that Yeah, I literally bug all the guys until now, but it's great. Like I'm doing the same thing, like looking up information online, and you've taught me that, like be a person that's not just like asking people for questions either. Go out and find the information, and that really helps you grow a lot too. Is just being a searcher of like information, being a sponge, and then like I said, applying. You always got to apply everything that you learn. You can't just like take it all in.
Love that, Zaira. So Zaira, shifting gears, say you're talking to a woman that is just starting out in sales, or maybe transition from sales in a different industry to solar. Let's keep it solar specific, like door to door. What advice would you give that person? Like what would you say maybe to the first few months version of Zaira in door-to-door sales? Because you've done sales before, but I believe that this is your first door-to-door job, right? Okay, so what advice would you say, to someone starting out to help them progress along their path?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna keep it real on that one because I like how you said that. Like, what would I have told myself when I first started this? And I would tell women who first start out in door-to-door, go get yourself a therapist, a mentor, or a coach. Get someone that you can go throw up all your emotions and personal life to, because that is one thing that I do see a lot of women come into this industry and any workplace really, is that they come to work with their baggage, their drama, and they're spreading it all over the office. And I think that's why sometimes men are like, oh, we don't want to work with women, because that's what they see. And I've seen it happen too many times. So I'm just keeping it real. I would tell a woman, make sure that you have that in your life. Someone that could speak, a professional that can speak into your life, that you can go take all that to. And that's something that I personally done. So I'm not suggesting something that I don't do, because I do that. Yeah. I have a mentor, I have a coach, and I have a therapist. Yeah. And I literally pay them so I can tell them, throw up all my baggage and drama too. So when I come to work, I'm like, refreshed and I feel good, and I can actually focus on work and being my best version professionally. Yeah. So I think that's some really good advice, because you got to be able to be doing door to door, because you're like face to face doing sales. You got to have your shit together. That's really how, you physically have to have it together. Emotionally, you have to have it together, because how you speak and how you interact with someone can call bullshit. They're like, oh, like this person is not really that confident. They really don't know their stuff. Yeah. And they see through that. And again, that's the biggest, the great advantage of a woman. If you emotionally can connect with people a lot better, like I said, even like a man, like when you can emotionally connect with another human being, you're able to draw out like the reasons why they either want to do the sale or not. People buy based off emotions. So the better we get as human beings at learning our own emotions, we're able to interact with other people and bring them out and become friends. And that's how you get the sale. You become friends with the person. Yeah. So
that's good. I mean, it's like understanding how to self-regulate yourself. All of us are emotional creatures. Not sure if you agree with the statement, but I would say women are more in tune with their emotions than men are. Right now, men still have emotions, and men sometimes will lie to themselves and be like, no, I don't feel like, no, that's BS. You're just suppressing it. Right. And that's actually great advice for men as well, to have like, so my wife actually, so Josie and Zaira are really good friends. She has a coach as well. Shout out Issa Rooney. But she has a coach.
Same coach.
Same coach. Yeah. Shout out Issa Rooney. Yeah. So, and I have seen wonders in my wife from having a coach to where someone that she can just talk to, where she doesn't feel judged. Or she feels like it's a safe space to just open, because yes, I think women are more in tune with their emotions, and emotions are not a bad thing, right? Feeling anger, feeling frustration, feel disappointment, that's not a bad thing. And where men, I feel like, lack is they think like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this. No, feel it, right? Process it. What's bad is to stay there, right? And that's what men do.
Not processing it, right?
Not processing it, right? Or women do, right? They go to the doors and they actually haven't processed the rejection they had yesterday, and they're just suppressing it, and then that day they go into it, but some consciousness is there, and then it builds up, and then the next day same thing, and then eventually they blow up. Eventually they have a moment where they're just crying, like, I can't do this. This is too hard, and it's like, no, it's just because you didn't do your due diligence to every single day have a process, self-regulate. Okay, this is how I feel. Okay, what can I do? Sometimes for me, it's like, just prayer works. Boom, I'm good.
Right.
Sometimes it's listening to a certain song. Boom, I'm good. Sometimes it's just watching an hour worth of YouTube content that is motivating, right? Or sometimes it's talking to a mentor and unleashing, be like, hey, this is how I feel. And so, but it's about knowing how to self-regulate yourself and embrace the emotions, feel it, but don't stay there. Right.
I think that's why like I love our correlations, because I know just learning from the San Diego office how much we're there for each other on a personal level as well. And I think that some people don't really take advantage of that. Is like when they don't come to core, they don't realize how much we're there for each other and willing to open up. And like, it's like, please give me your baggage. Let me help you. So when you go out there, you're not throwing it up to your customer and losing your sale, you know? So like I said, like most men, like they just rather suppress it, not talk about it. And a lot of women just want to throw it all up and say it. So I think that, like coaching, mentorship, and like therapy is good for men and women. And as sales individuals, like I said, and especially being door to door and just facing all those challenges, like emotional, like rejection and all that, you need to have a professional that will speak life into you constantly and help build you up on a productive level where you're actually elevating like quickly.
And also I think there's a great, good leadership lesson, because if you're in a leadership position, you have to understand that sometimes you got to be a counselor for your people. At least I've discovered that as our division has grown, you know, I kind of become more of a counselor. You know, sometimes people call me and they unleash, you know what I mean? And I'm just there to sometimes all I do is listen and that's it. And then they feel better. Or sometimes I give them some feedback, right? But if you're in a leadership position, I think what you just said is so good, Zaira, that yes, it's important that if you're new and you're starting out, you know, I know we talked about women, to have someone, right? Someone that you trust, that you can like just let them into what's going on. And for leaders, understand that your people need that. Understand that if you're leading people, if people are not being real and raw with you, that's a red flag. Right. If anything, I would challenge everyone to call your people and check in. One of the most simplest practical things you can do is call someone and just say, hey, how are you? And then what are they going to say? They're going to be like, oh, I'm doing great. Everyone says that. But if you ask again, no, Zaira, really, how are you? And you say it with that kind of tone as well, you will be surprised how often people, when I say it, when I ask the second time, like, no, really, how are you? Then they open up. Then they're like, well, you know, I'm just going through with my wife right now, or I'm in a slump, or whatever. And just getting it out sometimes is enough. Like, that's it. If you just sometimes like, and we're men sometimes also, like for me at least, we always try to be the solution, you know, like, oh, let me give him. No, sometimes you just got to listen. And so what you just said is so good. And I think, yes, get a therapist, get a coach and all that. But for the solar leaders listening to this, like, understand that if you have women in your team, and men too, that sometimes you got to be a therapist. Sometimes you got to be a counselor for them.
And I think that's the thing that, like, what I would tell women specifically, it's like, look, because there aren't too many women in this industry, you don't want to be going to like your male leader and telling all that, because that could be a little uncomfortable too. So that's why you want to have your own outside of like work. But to all the leaders, regardless, I mean, if we're all trying to be the best version of ourselves and helping others do the same, then you really should be doing all that inner work for yourself as too. So when people do come to you, you're able to pour into them. But another thing that I would tell women who are just starting like in the industry is just being able to look at this as a sales organization and not thinking like, oh, I'm against men. Like, I would take the gender thing out of your head, because that could stop a lot of women. A lot of women think like, oh, I'm coming into this industry, there's all these guys that I have to compete with. And it's like, if you have that in your head, it's going to stop you just naturally of how you're thinking. So when I came into this industry, I didn't think like, oh, I'm against all these dudes. I'm like, no, I'm against all these people. And I'm just going to be better because I work just as hard and I'm doing all the same things that they're doing. So like, if women just come to this job being like, okay, like, I want to be, my best version of myself. But ultimately the baseline of like having great results is work ethic and passion and perseverance and being able to be coached and keep yourself accountable, like being a true entrepreneur, you know? So.
That's good. Zaira, would you say that it's best to pair up a woman with another woman leader or with a man? It's funny, and I asked that because you said something that got me thinking. I'm like, and I'm guilty of this,
Yeah.
but I find that it's my natural way of thinking when a woman comes on the board
and I've noticed
is to
that.
pair them up with a woman.
I get all the girls.
You know, you get all the girls. But I'm like, I always wonder, I'm like, is there a difference? Like, I don't know.
There is.
Okay. Like, what would you say? Okay, what, let's talk about that. What are the pros and cons of a woman working with another woman versus a woman working with a man?
Well, see, that's the thing though. If I get another alpha female, it's great. We work very well together because again, we're both just driven, hardworking. I don't have to really like hold their hand. But if I get someone that's like very new to life and very emotional, then it's like I'm constantly pouring. It can be very draining. And women tend to get, I mean, just saying it, they get very catty, you know, and then a lot of drama happens. And I'm like, oh, why did I get stuck with this individual? So it's like, so sometimes when you put someone like that that's very fresh and new to life, it's good to put them with a guy because they don't feel like they can throw up as much. Yeah. They feel like they have to level up because they have someone. Again, women just tend to look at males right automatically. Oh, I got to respect them. They're my boss. Yeah. But when you put them with another girl that they don't know, they just see them as like they're equal. And it's a little different. Yeah. So like I noticed that when I get like male mentees, like automatically they just respect me. There's no drama. I can always like count on them and all that. But it hasn't always been like that with girls. Yeah. It's been very little few that I can work with. Yeah. And that's sad, you know, but.
And that's good. And so I guess it's about just knowing the personality of that person and where they're at, because I do believe in solar. It's important to pair the right mentee with the right mentor. Right. And I guess over the years, I've noticed, like, this is not really related to what we're talking about, but I think sometimes, I guess my concern and my fear is if I pair up a woman with a guy, especially if it's a single guy, that you spend a lot of time with them, then, they start dating and I think that stuff should be kept out of the workplace. It just usually, statistically speaking, okay, if you're the 5% where it works, great. But statistically speaking, it just doesn't work. And
that's a really good point. And I would agree with that. Yeah. So you do want to be careful of who you pair up, but at the same time, like I think personalities, like what does that new individual need, and who is the best leader to help bring out that person instead of just picking by gender. Because I know, and I'm guilty of that. I think like woman, another woman. I think that's maybe I need to understand why I do that. But you're right, because I mean, I don't think male, another male, it's like, you're right, because when I think of a male, when I thought about how to pair up people, it's more on personality, like, okay, cool, this person is this way, okay, then they'll get great mentorship from this guy over here. So I think it's the same thing. I think that's one thing that I'd like to see more, like in our industry or just in sales general, that like people are paired up with who they would do best with instead of just like based off the gender. Because I do notice that like every time we hire a girl, I get sent the girls, and it's fine. But again, like our personalities sometimes may just not click, and like. Well,
and I see it a lot too in the industry. I mean, I've seen like, and this is nothing bad, but I've seen certain podcasts or certain organizations where it's like only the females, and I'm like, no, it's there's a saying that we say in our church. It's like the future is not female and the future is not male. The future is female and male, right? It's both of them, right? I do believe that we'll go much further when we work as a unit, and I think that an organization can accomplish great thing when we get the perspective of a woman and the perspective of a man in there, and I think that's what makes a great, really organization.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that's one thing that like I'm looking for when we're hiring like new women is just like, are they the same mentality as like the top salespeople? Like even like from where they started, those people, because not everyone started off great, but do they have the same mentality? So I'm not like looking at like, just we need more girls. It's like, no, we need more people that are willing to grow and are, like I said, like competitive. Because competitiveness is not in like every individual. And but there's a lot of amazing boss women that I know out there that like are super competitive, and they would do great in an industry like this.
What would you say to the women who maybe have never done sales before? They thought about it, but maybe they're a little scared. Like, what would you say to that person to kind of convince them to, hey, jump into sales? You know, like, because sales is great. Like, sales can be the highest paid profession, and that's just a byproduct of, and you know this, right? Making the money in this job is the byproduct of just the person you become. Right. So what would you say to that woman that again has maybe thought about sales but they're afraid because again like they believe it's like only men can succeed at it or whatever. What would you say to that person?
Well, I guess it's nice if they already knew me, because then they'd be like, oh, okay, a woman can do this, right? But ultimately, I would say, yeah, any woman that is a people person, that's not shy, that loves communicating with people, that like wants to, I guess, yeah, who has a competitive spirit. I have to say that's a big thing, because if you're a girl that just like wants to socialize and like come in and try it out, like you're not going to do well. You have to be very, very driven.
Yeah.
And like I said, like from me, like everything I've done, like, that's just like my personality. Like naturally, like I played sports, like when I was anywhere from like junior high school, I played rugby. So I was super competitive. I've done the music industry, I've done sales. And so like my just natural personality, like I love winning. And I think so if we have new women coming in, do you want to win? Do you want to like elevate, like financially, spiritually, your character? Like, do you really want to elevate? Because this is the perfect industry to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing though. It's not just like the industry. I would have to say like just, I mean, I all I know is Valor, and Valor has been like the platform. Solar is what brought me in, but really it's the Valor leadership that really gave me the opportunity to find that, like, okay, like hit next levels financially, but also in my character. It really gave me that platform. Yeah.
So what's next for Zaira? What does 2023 look like for you?
Oh, I'm going for district manager.
Come on.
So yeah. I mean, for me, it's more so and I want to say that because to me, I was just like, oh, I'll just be a manager. Like I think that was like my highest goal. But the more I love myself, truly, I want to give myself the best, and I want to give more to others. It's amazing how that happens. The more you love yourself, the more you love others, right? You want to pour.
You can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
You know, you need to pour on yourself, because then if you are overwhelmed with love towards yourself and purpose, like you can't help but want to give it.
Yeah, when you're just being filled to the top and overflowing, you want to like pour. Sure. Exactly, right? So I think that's the thing though. Maybe like a year ago, I was like, oh, I was only filled up a certain amount in life, where I'm like, this is all I have to give. So being an ADM is like all I want to do. And now my goals are just bigger. I'm like, okay, now I want to help run the office. And then, so I'm already thinking like, okay, like again, like earned, not given. How can I earn something like this, but like earn the trust and the love from like the people that like I work with? And that would just be, how much can I pour into them? So my goal is to just take our office to the next level and help out who I do have right now. Like, I have Jack, I have Tyler, Jake, and yourself. And like, I just want to help take our office to the next level. And that's my biggest thing. And obviously I'm getting married
Come on.
next year. Yeah.
Shout out Ricky Lawson.
Shout out to Ricky. And also, like I'm buying a house. So I'm saying like this has been the best year of my life. Yeah. I've leveled up in every department. And I think like next year, like I'm like, okay, how much more can I take that personally and financially and like spiritually? I just want to hit all these different levels. And I want to see the people around me do the same thing.
I love that, Zaira. Zaira, it has been absolutely great to have you on here. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram. So if you put in like my full name, Zaira _X. Oh my gosh, XM, Zaira _XM. So that's my Instagram.
I'm sure there's not many Zairas on Instagram.
It's funny, there's some on there. Yeah. Or you could just look up Zaira Mosquera on Facebook. But usually people hit me up on social media and ask more questions. Okay. And then from there we talk, and then I give you my phone number. But that would be a great place to start. And you can see the great thing about social media is we do post everything. I post everything to do with work in my life, so you can see the fruit of like what you're trying to get into. Yeah.
So connect with Zaira. I know she's an open book. I know she would love nothing more to pour into you. So Zaira, such an honor to have you on here. Thank you so much. Any closing thoughts? Anything that you want to share that you're passionate about before we wrap it up?
No, I think just whether you're a guy or a girl, just like this is an excellent place to work. Excellent. If you're wanting to try something new, like I said, you're really trying to be the best version of yourself. I'm glad that this is not just like a regular sales organization. It's really a people organization. Like we're here to just help elevate, grow people, get them out of their shells, and like the money is just a byproduct of the best version of yourself. Exactly. So if you're looking for that, hit us up. Come work here.
Zaira, guys, thank you so much, Zaira. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Yeah. Woo! That was so good.